What's up guys, welcome back to Evo Chronicles. Today we have a really interesting video. We're gonna go back in time to the inception of Silent Hills. It's a really interesting story, so if you're interested, make sure to watch till the end. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe and activate notifications so you never miss out on any upcoming videos. With that said, let us get started. In 1999, Konami released a revolutionary survival horror game titled Silent Hills. This would kick off a multi-million-dollar franchise and change the horror genre in gaming forever, constantly reinventing the rules. And of course, what would a popular series be without some healthy competition? Resident Evil was also a super popular game at the time. We already made a video about it, so make sure to watch that by clicking on the top right corner. Created by Keiichiro Toyama, Silent Hill debuted in 1999 on PlayStation to heaps of critical success. Not only did Silent Hill present an interesting take on survival horror, but also popularized the psychological horror genre that would see a sudden surge in the late 90s and early 2000s. Team Silent mainly consisted of outcasts at Konami HQ, who didn't quite fit into any other blockbuster franchise. Silent Hill's success in 1999 immediately prompted Konami to pump a bit more cash and resources into the development of a sequel. Team Silent didn't simply want to build on the first game, instead trying something completely new that will lean harder into its psychological horror element. In 2001, Silent Hill 2 was released to critical and commercial success, with many outlets considering it to be the greatest horror video game of all time. Team Silent had went from a little-known internal B studio to one of the superstar teams at Konami in just a few short years. 2008 would see two more Silent Hill game releases. The main entry, Silent Hill Homecoming, developed by Double Helix Games, and a mobile phone sequel to Silent Hill Orphan. The former leaned into action over psychological horror that defined the series, and instead felt like it failed to replicate Resident Evil's more action-focused new direction, releasing to a mixed reception. Silent Hill Homecoming was once again an underwhelming Western-developed entry in the series. Silent Hill 3 would also naturally be on the table, and in 2003, we finally saw Team Silent continue the story established in the first game as opposed to the second title that had a standalone narrative. Heavier on the atmospheric tension and terror, Silent Hill 3 is considered to be the scariest game in the franchise. Its success would also lead to Silent Hill 4, The Room, the most experimental title in the series. While not the powerhouse of the original trilogy, Silent Hill 4 The Room was still a modest success, though in Konami's eyes, the series began to wane as Resident Evil once again grew stronger. They needed a change of pace. Development of a prequel to the first Silent Hill began shortly after Silent Hill 4 The Room. Only this time, Konami had handed development duties over to a Western studio, Climax Action, in hopes that it would revitalize the creative drive a bit. They weren't entirely wrong, as Silent Hill Origins released in 2007 on the PSP and later ported to PS2 to a mostly warm reception, though it was clear that Silent Hill franchise didn't have nearly as much staying power as its first few games. In 2007, two Silent Hill mobile games were also released, Silent Hill Orphan and Silent Hill The Escape, though it failed to leave a lasting impression. Team Silent had broken up at this point, leading to Japan Studios being formed by key members of the team, who would go on to develop the Silent Hill-inspired Forbidden Siren series and Gravity Rush, would have one last crack at a Western-developed Silent Hill with the release of 2012's Silent Hill Downpour, heavy on atmospheric and razor-wire tension that made the series a success in the first place. The game received a mixed reception for its poor protagonist and a half-baked story that did little to really embrace Silent Hill's greatest psychological traits. The nail in the coffin followed with the PS Vita exclusive Silent Hill Book of Memories, the tragic Silent Hill HD collection, bundling both Silent Hill 2 and 3 for consoles at the time. Silent Hill went dark for a while, and there was little Konami could do to bring the series back. In 2009, Silent Hill Shattered Memories, developed by Climax Studios, released for the Nintendo Wii and somewhat brought the series full cycle by rebooting the story of the first game. It was an admirable attempt, and fared considerably better than previous entries, but it was held back by the Wii's odd controls and the game's structure, which completely diverted from the formula established by its predecessors. The bizarre entry only divided the fanbase even further. Until 2014, a mysterious demo for a horror game appeared on the PlayStation Store simply titled P.T. Players immediately noticed the high production value and strange repetitive loop of the game, building an incredible sense of dread. This wasn't your ordinary horror demo. It was quickly revealed to actually be a teaser for Silent Hills. Fans placed hope in Silent Hills, bringing back the series to its former glory. And with an all-star creative team like that, who wouldn't blame them? Unfortunately, a dispute between Kojima and Konami erupted and led to Kojima's departure from the company along with Silent Hill's notorious cancellation in 2016. Things seemed dire for the franchise, with Capcom even firing back with the clearly Silent Hills-influenced Resident Evil 7 Biohazard in 2017. So what do you think of the Silent Hill franchise? It's actually one of my favorites. It really stuck with me when I used to play it on the PS2 back in the day. We have other videos about video games, including the evolution of Resident Evil. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate notifications. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.